Before modern tractors became standardized, engineers experimented without limits. The result? Machines so strange they look unreal, yet they actually worked. From bizarre designs and overbuilt mechanics to ideas that completely ignored convention, these vintage tractors pushed boundaries in every direction. Some were brilliant, some were questionable, and some were pure madness. These are 67 bizarre vintage tractors you won't believe are real, and every single one truly existed. Number 67. Ford Doodlebug. The Ford Doodlebug is one of the strangest contradictions in agricultural history. It was never an official Ford tractor, never assigned a model number, and never built in a factory. Yet during the Great Depression and World War II, these machines appeared on farms all across the United States. With purpose-built tractors scarce and expensive, farmers turned to what they had, old Ford Model T and Model A cars, and transformed them into working farm machines. From a technical standpoint, no two Doodlebugs were the same. Builders stripped away the car body, shortened the chassis, reinforced the frame, and fitted oversized rear tractor tires. Power came from the original Ford gasoline engines, paired with automotive transmissions. In a brilliant example of grassroots engineering, some builders even reversed the differential, effectively gaining additional forward and reverse gears. An ingenious solution born from necessity. By modern standards, a Doodlebug's power output was modest, but it was more than capable of light plowing, hauling trailers, and basic fieldwork. What truly makes the Ford Doodlebug bizarre isn't just its mismatched proportions, exposed mechanical parts, or awkward stance. It's the fact that every single one was unique. Each machine reflected the skills, materials, and imagination of its creator. The Ford Doodlebug wasn't designed by engineers or marketers. It was built by farmers solving real problems. And that raw, unstandardized ingenuity is exactly why this non-existent tractor earns its place among the most bizarre machines ever to work the land. Number 66. Halftrack Fordson. The Halftrack Fordson is strange because it was never supposed to look this way. It wasn't designed as a crawler, and it wasn't meant to be a hybrid. In reality, it started life as a mass-produced Fordson tractor, most often a Fordson Model M or Fordson Major, before being modified with a half-track conversion kit sold separately by third-party companies, most famously Roadless Plowmaster. The modification completely changed how the tractor worked. The front axle and rubber steering wheels remain untouched, preserving simple, familiar steering. But at the rear, the standard drive wheels were removed and replaced with a track drive system using rubber or steel tracks. This configuration dramatically increased tractive efficiency while lowering ground pressure, allowing the tractor to operate in mud, soft fields, snow, and waterlogged soil where wheeled tractors quickly failed. Roadless Traction claimed that the linked rubber track system produced a ground contact area equal to a wheel nearly 20 feet in diameter, delivering far superior grip compared to conventional tires. Unlike full crawler tractors, which required complex clutch and brake steering systems, the Halftrack Fordson remained easy to drive, using a standard steering wheel and front axle. What makes this tractor truly bizarre is its improvised hybrid nature. It's neither a true crawler nor a normal wheel tractor. Visually, it looks unbalanced. Small front wheels paired with a bulky industrial track assembly at the rear, giving it an almost experimental appearance. Widely used in the 1940s and 1950s, especially during and after World War II, the Halftrack Fordson represents a clever workaround to real-world farming challenges. It wasn't elegant, it wasn't factory-built, but its half-wheeled, half-track design secured its place among the most bizarre tractors you won't believe exist. Number 65. Ransomes MG2. At first glance, the Ransomes MG2 looks almost comical. It's so small that many people mistake it for a child's toy or a machine that couldn't possibly do real work. But appearances are deceiving. Built by Ransomes, Sims and Jeffries in Ipswich, England, and produced from 1936 to 1948, the MG2 was a true track tractor, engineered for serious agricultural tasks in tight spaces. Power came from a Sturmey Archer single-cylinder gasoline engine, either the T or TB model, displacing 600 cubic centimeters and producing just 6 horsepower. The air-cooled engine featured a dry sump lubrication system with a separate oil tank, an advanced design more commonly found in motorcycles than farm equipment. That engine fed into an ultra-simple transmission offering 1 forward gear and 1 reverse, both limited to a top speed of about 2 miles per hour. A centrifugal clutch, engaging at roughly 500 ERPM, connected the gearbox to a 4-to-1 reduction drive, delivering steady, controlled torque. Instead of wheels, the MG2 used patented rubber tracks developed by Roadless Traction Ltd, each just 6 inches wide. Steering was handled by twin hand levers, operating band brakes on the track drive shafts. Classic crawler tractor logic, scaled down to miniature proportions. Designed for market gardens, orchards, and small holdings, it minimized soil compaction while delivering impressive pulling power. Despite its size, the MG2 could operate plows, cultivators, and even a small dozer blade. With motorcycle engineering, crawler traction, and a body barely larger than a wheelbarrow, the Ransomes MG2 wasn't just small, it was unbelievably strange. And that's exactly why it earns its place among the most bizarre tractors you won't believe exist. Number 64. Massey-Harris GP. When the Massey-Harris GP appeared in 1930, it didn't just look different. It challenged everything farmers thought a tractor should be. Built at Massey-Harris's Racine, Wisconsin factory from 1930 to 1936, the GP was the company's first fully in-house tractor design and one of the world's first mass-produced four-wheel drive tractors. Power came from a Hercules inline 4-cylinder gasoline engine, displacing 3.7 liters and liquid-cooled for sustained fieldwork. Output was rated at approximately 15 drawbar horsepower and 22 belt horsepower, delivered through a 3-speed transmission with 1 reverse. What made that power unusual was how it reached the ground. All 4 wheels were driven all the time. The GP's design was radically symmetrical. Instead of small front wheels and large rears, it ran 4 equal-sized 38-inch wheels, paired with an exceptionally high 30-inch ground clearance, allowing it to straddle row crops with ease. Steering, however, was where things became truly strange. Rather than conventional steering geometry, the GP relied on independent braking of the differentials, enabling the tractor to pivot in a turning radius of just 6 feet. At a standstill, it couldn't be steered at all. Even more bizarre was an optional remote control system. Using extended cables or ropes, an operator could sit on the implement behind the tractor and control the GP from a distance, turning a one-man job into something that normally required 2 people. Only about 3,000 units were ever built. Though some criticized its modest drawbar power compared to 2-wheel drive rivals, the Massey-Harris GP remains a machine far ahead of its time. Bold, unconventional, and unmistakably bizarre. Number 63. Muir-Hill 171. The Muir-Hill 171 doesn't look like a conventional farm tractor, and that's because it wasn't built like one. Produced in Gloucester, England from the late 1970s, the 171 was a heavy-duty 4-wheel drive tractor designed by Muir-Hill Engineers Ltd, a company best known for construction machinery and radical tractor conversions. At the time, it was among the most powerful tractors ever built in the UK. At its heart sat a massive Perkins 5.8 diesel engine, producing around 180 horsepower, an enormous figure for a British agricultural tractor of that era. Power was routed through a heavily modified Ford 5000 transmission, enhanced by Muir-Hill with a custom transfer box and a front axle drive shaft to create permanent 4-wheel drive. The result was a rugged drivetrain offering 10 forward gears, built purely for pulling power. The design was unapologetically industrial. The 171 used a rigid frame chassis with 4 equal-sized wheels, often fitted with 18.4 by 15 by 34 agricultural tires, and weighed roughly 6,350 kilograms. The cab sat high above the ground, giving the tractor a towering, blocky silhouette that felt closer to heavy construction equipment than traditional farm machinery. What makes the Muir-Hill 171 truly bizarre is its Frankenstein engineering philosophy. Perkins power, Ford components, and Muir-Hill's own custom drivetrain were combined into a single machine. Effective, but highly unconventional. While its drawbar traction was legendary, its PTO output was relatively weak, with power losses through the complex transmission. A strange flaw for such a muscular tractor. Built for massive plows, heavy trailers, and industrial work, the Muir-Hill 171 was raw, brutal, and unforgettable. It wasn't elegant, it was intimidating. And that sheer mechanical excess is exactly why it earns its place among the most bizarre tractors you won't believe exist. Number 62. Antonio Carraro Mach 4R. The Antonio Carraro Mach 4R doesn't roll across the land, it grips it. Designed for terrain that defeats conventional tractors, the Mach 4R is a highly specialized machine built to operate on steep slopes, mud, snow, and fragile soil where wheels simply don't work. Power comes from a Kubota 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel, a 3,769 cubic centimeters, 16-valve engine producing 74.2 horsepower, 54.6 kilowatts. That power is managed through a fully synchronized 32-speed transmission, offering 16 forward and 16 reverse gears, paired with a synchronized shuttle for seamless direction changes under load. What truly sets the Mach 4R apart is its quad-track drive system. Instead of wheels, it runs on 4 independent rubber tracks, each constantly in contact with the ground. Combined with Antonio Carraro's Actio oscillating chassis and articulated steering, the tractor achieves extraordinary stability and an incredibly tight turning radius, even in confined spaces. Despite weighing around 3,150 kilograms in open station form, ground pressure is astonishingly low, less than a human footprint, roughly 3 psi. This makes the Mach 4R ideal for orchards and vineyards, where soil compaction can damage root systems. Even more bizarre, this fully tracked tractor is road legal, capable of traveling at speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour. Add the Rev Guide system, RGS, which allows the operator's station to rotate 180 degrees in seconds, and the Mach 4R becomes a bidirectional machine built for extreme versatility. It looks unconventional, moves unnaturally, and works where others fail. And that's exactly why the Antonio Carraro Mach 4R earns its place among the most bizarre tractors you won't believe exist. Number 61. Fowler Gyrotiller. The Fowler Gyrotiller wasn't designed to prepare soil, it was built to destroy it. Developed in the late 1920s by John Fowler and Company. Of Leeds, England, a company famous for steam engines and road rollers, the Gyrotiller was a radical diesel crawler created for one purpose: turn raw wilderness into farmland in a single pass. Early Gyrotillers were powered by enormous Ricardo gasoline engines, producing up to 225 horsepower, later replaced by more efficient Mahan or Fowler-Sanders diesel engines rated between 150 and 170 horsepower. Smaller variants also existed with outputs of 30, 40, and 80 horsepower, but the philosophy remained the same: overwhelming force. The machine rode on crawler tracks, spreading its immense weight and reducing ground pressure to around 12 pounds per square inch. What made the Gyrotiller truly bizarre was mounted at the rear: 2 massive rotary tillers spinning in opposite directions. Instead of pulling a plow, the machine worked like an industrial grinder, chewing through heavy clay, roots, scrub, and compacted soil. The rotating drums could till the ground to depths of 12 to 20 inches, processing land at roughly 1 acre per hour. The results were shocking. Fields emerged fully cultivated after a single pass, but so soft that people claimed you could sink knee-deep just by walking across them. Early versions even used a small front guide wheel in addition to tracks, giving the Gyrotiller an awkward, almost unbalanced appearance. Used for land reclamation, wartime soil recovery in Britain, and sugar plantations in the West Indies, the Fowler Gyrotiller was brutally effective and brutally extreme. It blurred the line between farm tractor and earth-moving machine. And that uncompromising, almost violent approach to agriculture is exactly why it earns its place among the most bizarre tractors you won't believe exist. Number 60. Schluter Profi Track 5000 TVL. In the early 1980s, German manufacturer Schluter KG Landmaschinenfabrik decided that powerful wasn't enough. What they built instead was the Profi Track 5000 TVL, a tractor so extreme it felt closer to heavy industry than agriculture. At its heart sat a colossal MAN V12 diesel engine, displacing an astonishing 21.6 liters and producing 500 horsepower, making it one of the most powerful agricultural tractors on Earth at the time. This wasn't just raw power, it was engineered dominance. The 5000 TVL featured full-time four-wheel drive with 4 equal-sized wheels, a signature Profi track layout designed to distribute torque evenly and maintain traction under immense load. Its massive reinforced chassis pushed the tractor to a dry weight of around 18 tons, climbing past 20 tons when fueled and ballasted with water-filled tires. Designed for industrial-scale farming, the 5000 TVL was intended to pull gigantic plows across vast fields in Eastern Europe or the American Midwest, places where field sizes measured in horizons, not hectares. But its sheer scale made it wildly impractical for normal agriculture. Seeing one in operation was shocking. A perfectly balanced machine, yet impossibly large, moving with slow, unstoppable authority. What truly makes the Profi Track 5000 TVL bizarre is its excess. 500 horsepower was absurd for its era, rivaling military vehicles and small locomotives. Only a handful were ever built, as production costs soared and demand remained microscopic. In a cruel twist, this engineering masterpiece became part of the story that led to Schluter's collapse. A symbol of ambition pushed too far. The Schluter Profi Track 5000 TVL wasn't just a tractor, it was German engineering without restraint. And that's exactly why it earns its place near the top of the most bizarre tractors you won't believe exist. Number 59. Fendt Trisix. Unveiled at Agritechnica 2007, the Fendt Trisix wasn't just another tractor. It was a warning shot from the future. Built by Fendt AG/Co as a fully functional concept, Trisix shattered every expectation of what an agricultural machine should look like. Its name came from its most shocking feature: 6 driven wheels arranged across 3 axles, all working together in permanent all-wheel drive. Powering this giant was a 12-liter MAN inline 6 diesel, delivering an incredible 540 horsepower. But raw power wasn't enough. Fendt engineered something unheard of: 2 Vario CVT transmissions working in parallel, distributing torque seamlessly to all 6 wheels. The result was a machine capable of reaching 60 kilometers per hour on public roads, despite a massive 7.6-meter length and a dry weight of around 19 tons. The chassis was pure science fiction. Each axle featured hydropneumatic suspension, with the front and rear axles actively steerable, either together or independently. The center axle remained fixed, giving the Trisix astonishing stability, a surprisingly tight turning radius, and ultra-low ground pressure thanks to 6 evenly loaded contact points. Designed for mega farms and high-speed contractors, Trisix promised faster fieldwork, rapid road travel, and minimal soil compaction, all in one machine. Yet this brilliance made it bizarre. No production run ever followed. With an estimated price near £400,000, the world simply wasn't ready. The Fendt Trisix remains a legend. Not because it failed, but because it proved how far tractor engineering could go. A 6-wheeled giant from a future that never arrived. Number 58. Happy Farmer. At first glance, the name Happy Farmer sounds friendly, even reassuring. But behind that cheerful label hides one of the most bizarre tractors ever built. Produced between 1916 and the early 1920s by the Lacrosse Tractor Company, the Happy Farmer Model B and Model G quickly became infamous for their strange engineering and frustrating real-world performance. Under the hood was a 2-cylinder gasoline-kerosene engine, water-cooled, rated at 12 drawbar horsepower and 24 belt horsepower, 12 to 24 HP. On paper, those numbers looked promising for the era. In practice, the tractor relied on a friction disc drive transmission with just one forward gear and one reverse, controlled by a lever that demanded constant attention and patience from the operator. Then came the truly unconventional features. The tractor's frame doubled as a muffler, an idea rarely seen even in early tractor design. It used independent rear wheel brakes after the differential, allowing one wheel to be locked so the machine could pivot almost on the spot. Some versions went even further, offering remote line drive controls, letting the driver steer the tractor using reins, like handling a horse instead of a machine. Visually, many units featured an offset 3-wheel layout, instantly marking it as something out of the ordinary. Despite bold advertising claims, real testing, including University of Nebraska trials, exposed poor fuel efficiency and disappointing power output. Farmers found it difficult to operate, hard to maintain, and deeply unreliable. A dark joke spread through farming communities. The two happiest days of owning a happy farmer are the day you buy it and the day you finally get rid of it. So unwanted was this tractor that some Wisconsin dealers refused to take them back, forcing owners to keep them as spare parts machines. With its strange design and troubled legacy, the happy farmer earns its place among the bizarre tractors you won't believe are real. Number 57. Fitch 4-Drive. Long before four-wheel drive became standard on modern tractors, one machine dared to do the impossible. Introduced in 1914, the Fitch 4-Drive was invented by Michigan farmer John H. Fitch and produced by the 4-Drive Tractor Company. At a time when most tractors struggled with rear-wheel drive or unreliable chains, this machine delivered something almost unbelievable for its era. True, fully gear-driven four-wheel drive. Power came from a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, sourced from builders like Waukesha, Beaver, and later Climax, depending on the model. Output varied across the lineup, from the early 12 to 25 horsepower, the Fitch, to the highly successful Model D, rated at 20 to 35 horsepower. But horsepower was only part of the story. The real magic was the drivetrain. No chains, no belts, just solid gears transferring power to differentials on both the front and rear axles. Weighing around 3,000 pounds in early form and up to 6,000 pounds in larger versions, the Fitch 4-Drive featured a 3-speed gearbox, an astonishingly tight 8-foot turning radius, and rugged axle construction designed to survive brutal conditions. And it did. In a famous 1918 demonstration, a Fitch tractor reportedly plowed 100 acres non-stop in just 88 hours, powering through mud and obstacles that left other tractors hopelessly stuck. What makes it truly bizarre isn't failure, it's how far ahead of its time it was. Even after John Fitch's sudden death shortly after the company's founding, production expanded and sales reached international markets. Simple, brutally effective, and shockingly advanced, the Fitch 4-Drive wasn't just strange, it was a traction revolution. Number 56. Square turn. Imagine a tractor that doesn't turn, it pivots. Built by Albal Dover between 1917 and 1925, the square turn was designed to solve one of early farming's biggest frustrations: massive machines that struggled to maneuver. What emerged was one of the strangest, most agile tractors ever put to work in a field. At its heart was a massive Climax Model K 4-cylinder engine, displacing an incredible 510.5 cubic inches, 8,366 cubic centimeters, capable of running on gasoline or kerosene. Output reached around 18 drawbar horsepower and 35 belt horsepower, more than enough to handle heavy implements. The tractor weighed a hefty 7,800 pounds, with 90% of that mass resting on the two huge rear drive wheels, maximizing traction where it mattered most. The real shock came from its patented giant grip drive friction disc transmission, with one forward speed and one reverse, and no conventional clutch or complex gearbox. The system allowed something unheard of at the time. One rear wheel could move forward while the other moved backward. The result was a near-instant 90-degree turn, or a full spin within the tractor's own length. Visually, the square turn was just as odd. Its offset three-wheel layout, with a single small front wheel and two massive rear wheels, looked more like a mechanical experiment than a farm tractor. Yet it worked. A 180-degree rotating seat, engine-powered foot-controlled lift, and strong hill climbing ability made it ideal for orchards, tight headlands, and wet ground. Marketed as better than a team of horses, the square turn proved that radical design could deliver real results. Number 55. Bryan Steam. Just as gasoline tractors were taking over American farms, one machine stubbornly looked backward and somehow pushed steam technology further than ever before. Built around 1919 by the Bryan Harvester Company of Peru, Indiana, the Bryan Steam tractor was one of the last and most radical attempts to make steam power commercially viable for agriculture. Designed by George Bryan, drawing on his railroad locomotive experience, this tractor used a two-cylinder, double-acting steam engine with 4-inch bores and a 5-inch stroke. But the real headline was its boiler. Instead of the massive fire tube boilers of traditional steam engines, Bryan used a patented, flexible water tube boiler capable of operating at an astonishing 600 psi and reportedly tested safely at 1,200 psi. For a farm tractor, that pressure was almost unheard of. Fuel was equally unconventional. The Bryan Steam burned liquid fuel, kerosene or vaporized gasoline, eliminating coal, wood, ash, and soot. Steam exhaust was routed through a condenser system, capturing water and returning it to the tank, drastically reducing water loss. The result was a steam tractor that started quickly, ran clean, and stayed compact. Rated at 20 drawbar horsepower and an incredible 70 belt horsepower, it weighed just 5,500 pounds, far lighter than most steam tractors of the era. And that's what makes it truly bizarre. While the industry raced toward internal combustion, Bryan doubled down on steam, but refined it to near perfection. Fast steam generation, sealed oil-bathed components, shock-resistant boiler design, problems that plagued steam power were suddenly solved. Number 54. Minneapolis Moline 445. The Minneapolis Moline 445, produced between 1956 and 1964, might look like a standard, reliable farm tractor at first glance. A workhorse of its era, it came with advanced features, multiple configurations, and solid performance. But among collectors and historians, one hidden story makes the 445 truly bizarre. Powering the 445 was a 4-cylinder, liquid-cooled engine offered in gasoline, diesel, or LP gas variants with 206.5 or 221.1 cubic inch displacement. Output reached around 38.48 drawbar horsepower and 41.95 belt horsepower, as tested by the University of Nebraska. The tractor featured a 10-speed transmission with an optional ampli-torque power shift, allowing gear changes without using the main clutch, a modern convenience in mid-20th century agriculture. Configurations included universal, U, narrow front, N, and standard tread, E, and standard weight hovered around 4,800 to 71 pounds, 2,209 kilograms. So where's the bizarre twist? It's all in the prototype X231. Unlike the production models, X231 incorporated unique engine and drivetrain components never used again, creating a mystery for restorers hunting rare replacement parts. Even more curious, a military version of the 445 tipped the scales at 7,900 pounds, nearly double the civilian weight due to added ballast for traction and stability, an unusually heavy adaptation for a tractor of this size. The Minneapolis Moline 445 isn't bizarre for eccentric wheels or steam engines, but for its hidden variance and technical anomalies. The rare X231 prototype and heavier military models give collectors a peek into a forgotten path of experimentation, making this dependable farm machine an unexpectedly fascinating piece of tractor history. Number 53. Hefty Model G. In the 1970s, whole-tan axle and transmission co-makers Hus-Ski of Juneau, Wisconsin, set out to modernize and replicate the legendary Allis-Chalmers Model G. The result was the Hefty Model G, a truly bizarre, highly specialized cultivation tractor, instantly recognizable by its rear-engine layout, ultra-low speeds, and rare replacement parts. At its core was a four-cylinder Continental Teledyne gasoline engine, manufactured by Renault, producing 27 PTO horsepower. The tractor featured a 6-speed transmission with an optional creeper gear, allowing operators to move at painstakingly slow speeds. So slow that a walking person could easily outpace it. Weighing approximately 2,100 pounds, the tractor had a 72-inch wheelbase, extendable to 89 inches for mid-mounted implements. Rear wheel spacing was adjustable from 40 to 108 inches, while ground clearance varied from 18 to 48 inches depending on the variant, including G18, G22, G27, and High G. The rear engine design created a large open frame in the center for mid-mount cultivators, a radical departure from front-engine tractors and a hallmark of its unusual configuration. Combined with the ultra-low-speed transmission, this allowed precision cultivation in spraying impossible for conventional tractors. Its rarity adds to the intrigue. Produced in limited numbers between 1973 and 1978, sourcing replacement parts beyond the engine and Spicer transmission is a challenge for collectors and restorers. Although Hus-Ski updated the design with modern components, the mixture of parts from various manufacturers makes maintenance complex even today. The Hefty Model G remains a bizarre masterpiece of agricultural engineering, combining specialized mid-mount design, crawling precision, and scarce components, making it a coveted collector's item and a standout in tractor history. Number 52. County Seahorse. In the 1970s, County Commercial Cars of the UK unveiled one of the most unusual tractors ever built, the County Seahorse, a fully amphibious four-wheel drive tractor designed for aquaculture farms in Scotland and Ireland. Born from modified Ford Series 10 tractors, likely Ford 7610, the Seahorse could operate seamlessly on land, mud, and water, a feat almost unheard of in agricultural machinery. Power came from a robust diesel engine adapted from the Ford chassis, paired with County's four-wheel drive system, engineered to handle both soft mud and saltwater conditions. The tractor's entire lower body was encased in a fiberglass hull, forming a flotation chamber that allowed it to stay afloat. At the rear, a propeller, powered by the PTO or a separate drive shaft, provided propulsion through water, transforming the Seahorse into a hybrid between a tractor and a boat. The fiberglass hull added weight but distributed it evenly, preventing the tractor from sinking into mud or soft tidal flats. What makes the County Seahorse truly bizarre is its dual environment capability. It could traverse tidal flats, float on the water surface, and pull nets or equipment while partially submerged. A design specifically tailored for the niche demands of shellfish and salmon farms. Its appearance, with a bulky enclosed hull and rear propeller, resembled a miniature mechanized boat, standing in stark contrast to conventional tractor silhouettes. Although highly effective in its intended environment, the Seahorse's specialized design limited its use for standard farming tasks, cementing its reputation as a rare, one-of-a-kind tractor. By merging engineering ingenuity with a strikingly unconventional form, the County Seahorse remains one of the most memorable bizarre tractors ever created. Number 51. Farmall 1026. Produced briefly from 1970 to 1971 by International Harvester, the Farmall 1026 may not look bizarre at first glance, but it holds a unique place in tractor history as a technological pioneer. It was the first row crop tractor over 100 horsepower, to feature a fully hydrostatic drive system, offering infinitely variable speeds without the need for a clutch. A bold step into the future of tractor engineering. Under the hood sat a 6-cylinder IHD407 diesel engine with a displacement of 407 cubic inches, delivering around 112 PTO horsepower. Impressive for its era. The tractor was produced in farmall row crop and international standard, or wheatland configurations, but all models were hydrostatic only, highlighting IH's commitment to this innovative technology. Its hydrostatic transmission gave operators smooth, precise control, a stark contrast to the gear-driven tractors of the time. Driving the 1026 produced a distinctive audio signature, combining the turbo whistling of the engine with the soft hum of the hydro system. An unmistakable and somewhat bizarre soundscape. Production numbers were low. Only about 2,414 farmall units and 158 international units were made, making the 1026 a rare collector's item today. Its combination of high horsepower, cutting-edge hydro technology, limited production, and unique driving experience earned it a spot among the most notable, bizarre tractors. Not for its looks, but for the groundbreaking engineering that set it apart in the early 1970s. The Farmall 1026 remains a testament to IH's daring innovation, a tractor that rewrote the rules for high-powered, hydrostatic farming machines and earned its place in history as one of the bizarre tractors you won't believe are real. Number 50. Caterpillar DW10. Introduced in 1941, the Caterpillar DW10 marked a strange turning point in Caterpillar history. This was the company's very first wheel tractor, and it was never meant for farming. Instead, the DW10 was purpose-built to pull massive scrapers and dump trailers, working on construction sites rather than fields. Between 1941 and 1954, Caterpillar produced the DW10 across 3 distinct generations. Early 1N models used a D468 inline 6-cylinder diesel, producing 90 to 100 horsepower, already extreme for its era. The short-lived 6V series introduced a major upgrade, switching from vacuum-assisted brakes to full air brakes. And the final one, V generation, pushed things even further with the Caterpillar D318 engine, boosting output to 115 horsepower. In working trim, the DW10 weighed about 15.5 tons unloaded, but with scrapers attached, total operating weight could climb to nearly 29.5 tons. A 5-speed manual transmission allowed it to reach speeds of 23 miles per hour, around 37 kilometers per hour, shockingly fast for a machine born during World War II. But what truly makes the DW10 bizarre is its design. Early versions featured a sleek Art Deco body, curved sheet metal, and recessed headlights. More luxury car than workhorse. Although it had 4 wheels, the DW10 functioned as a tractor unit, relying on the weight of the attached scraper pressing down on the rear axle for traction. The exhaust exited under the chassis, air brakes could be controlled independently on each rear wheel, and the operator sat offset to the left for better visibility of the equipment behind. Not a farm tractor, not a truck. The Caterpillar DW10 was a mechanical hybrid and one of the strangest machines Caterpillar ever built. Number 49. Bubba UT4. Built in Italy during the 1930s, the Bubba UT4 is remembered for one shocking reason. It used the largest single-cylinder tractor engine ever built. While most manufacturers were moving towards smoother, multi-cylinder engines, Bubba Trattori chose the opposite path. The UT4 was powered by a massive hot bulb single-cylinder engine with an unbelievable displacement of 15.38 liters. Its piston measured 260 millimeters in diameter, with a 290 millimeter stroke, creating an engine that fired slowly, but with enormous force. This was not a farm tractor in the traditional sense. The UT4 was designed as an all-terrain tractor, riding on huge wheels intended to crawl over rough ground where smaller machines would struggle. Every power stroke sounded less like an engine and more like a cannon firing beneath the hood. The engine itself used hot bulb technology, an older system that required preheating, often with a blowtorch before starting. While simple and incredibly torque-heavy, it was already becoming obsolete as modern diesel engines spread across Europe. Historically, the UTC4 also influenced Bubba's later designs. A smaller relative, the UT6, eventually became the foundation for the C35 crawler tractor in 1936, showing how Bubba experimented wildly before settling on more conventional layouts. What makes the UTC-4 truly bizarre is the contrast, an outdated engine concept, scaled to an extreme, a single cylinder doing the work of many. Slow, violent power pulses shaking an entire machine. The Bubba UTC-4 wasn't efficient. It wasn't modern, but it was unforgettable, a mechanical relic from a time when engineers had no fear of going too far. Number 48. Lanz Landbaumotor. Introduced in 1912 by Heinrich Lanz AG, the Lanz Landbaumotor stands as one of the most ambitious and bizarre agricultural machines ever built. This was long before the famous Lanz Bulldog, and Lanz was still experimenting with what a tractor could be. Unlike the later single-cylinder Bulldogs, the Landbaumotor was powered by a 4-cylinder gasoline engine producing up to 80 horsepower, an astonishing figure for the early 20th century. But this machine wasn't designed just to pull implements. It was built as a self-propelled cultivation system, with a massive rear-mounted milling and tilling unit driven directly by the main engine. Its size was enormous, and for good reason. Nicknamed the Swamp Destroyer, the Landbaumotor was engineered to work in heavy, wet, and waterlogged soil, where horses, steam tractors, and smaller gasoline machines simply failed. Huge wheels and later even tracked versions allowed it to crawl across terrain others couldn't survive. During World War I, both wheeled and tracked Landbaumotors were pressed into military service as artillery tractors and transport vehicles. But the very features that made it powerful also made it impractical. It was expensive, complex, and difficult to maintain. Production was eventually halted in favor of simpler machines like the Lanz HL Bulldog. What makes the Landbaumotor truly bizarre is its contradiction. A tractor with an engine more complex than many trucks of its era. A farming machine that looked and worked like an industrial plant on wheels. And a design philosophy completely opposite of the minimalist Lanz tractors that followed. The Lanz Landbaumotor wasn't just ahead of its time. It was too far ahead and too strange for its own era. Number 47. Vaughan Flex Tread. Built in the 1920s by the Vaughan Motor Company of Portland, Oregon, the Vaughan Flex Tread looked like something pulled from a toy shelf, but it was a real working crawler tractor. Unlike conventional tractors, the Flex Tread was originally designed as a walk-behind machine. The operator didn't sit on it. Instead, they followed behind, steering the tractor using a long control handle that could reach 5 feet in length. Watching a full-grown adult guide a tiny track machine across a field was strange even by 1920s standards. Power came from a single-cylinder gasoline engine, producing roughly 5 horsepower, either built by Vaughan or based on Wisconsin-style designs. Early Model K tractors were water-cooled, while later S, W, and WS models switched to air cooling. Despite its size, the drivetrain was surprisingly advanced, using oil-immersed planetary clutches that allowed independent control of each track. The Flex Tread offered forward and reverse gears, and on Model WS versions, dual steering levers enabled true neutral steering, allowing the tractor to spin in place, something usually seen only on much larger industrial crawlers. Nicknamed a mini caterpillar, it became popular in orchards, gardens, small farms, and for highly specific jobs like cleaning manure beneath chicken coops. Many owners later added homemade seats and controls, turning the walk-behind into a bizarre rider tractor. Small, slow, and wildly unconventional, the Vaughan Flex Tread proved that even the tiniest tractors could be among the strangest ever built. Number 46. Emerson Brantingham Model L. Released in 1916, the Emerson Brantingham Model L was an ambitious attempt to rethink what a lightweight tractor should be, by doing something no major manufacturer would dare try again. Built by the Emerson Brantingham Implement Company of Rockford, Illinois, the Model L was designed as a smaller, more efficient alternative to the massive prairie-breaking tractors of the era. Under the hood sat a water-cooled 4-cylinder gasoline engine, producing about 12 horsepower at the drawbar and up to 20 horsepower on the belt pulley. Respectable output for a compact machine of its time, but the real shock came from the rear axle. Instead of 2 driven rear wheels, the Model L relied on a single large powered wheel on the right side. All pulling force was transmitted through that one tire. To keep the tractor upright, a smaller auxiliary wheel was mounted on the left side, acting purely as a stabilizer. The idea was bold: reduce weight, concentrate traction, and simplify the drivetrain. In theory, it sounded efficient. In practice, the design struggled. On uneven ground or heavy soil, the tractor's lopsided layout made handling unpredictable, and traction advantages quickly disappeared. Visually, the Model L looked more like an engineering experiment than a finished product. Its uneven stance and off-center mass made it instantly recognizable and undeniably strange. The concept didn't last long. Farmers preferred stability over innovation, and Emerson Brantingham soon returned to conventional 4-wheel designs. The Model L wasn't just unusual, it was a reminder that sometimes bold ideas don't fail quietly. They fail looking unforgettable. Number 45. Pasquale 986. Built in Italy during the late 1960s and 1970s, the Pasquale 986 was never meant for open fields. It was engineered for places where normal tractors simply couldn't survive: tight vineyards, narrow orchards, and steep hillsides. At first glance, it looks almost toy-sized, but underneath sits serious hardware. Power comes from a Lombardini LDA 100 single-cylinder air-cooled diesel, displacing 707 cubic centimeters and producing 18 to 21 horsepower. That power feeds into a surprisingly complex 12-speed manual gearbox with 9 forward and 3 reverse gears, driving all 4 wheels full-time. Weighing just around 710 kilograms, the Pasquale 986 achieves its real magic through design. Instead of steering with the front wheels, it uses a centrally articulated chassis. The tractor literally folds in the middle when turning, giving it an incredibly tight turning radius that lets it snake between rows of vines with surgical precision. All 4 wheels are the same size and a sodiometric layout, keeping the tractor balanced at all times. Its low center of gravity makes it remarkably stable on slopes, a critical feature for Italian hillside farming. And while the single-cylinder diesel is efficient and durable, its loud rhythmic thumping and noticeable vibration make it feel very different from smoother multi-cylinder tractors. What makes the Pasquale 986 truly bizarre is the contradiction: a tractor that turns by bending, a vineyard machine with permanent 4-wheel drive, a tiny frame hiding serious engineering. It may look small, but in tight spaces, nothing moves like a Pasquale. Number 44. Dutra D4K. Built in Budapest, Hungary during the 1960s, the Dutra D4K was unlike almost anything coming out of Western Europe or North America at the time. Produced by the Wurstschlag Traktorgyar, also known as the Red Star Tractor Factory, this machine was designed for one thing: serious pulling power in impossible conditions. The D4K was a full 4-wheel drive tractor, riding on 4 equally sized wheels in an isometric layout. Power came from massive 6-cylinder liquid-cooled diesel engines, most commonly the Seppel DT61 3.15, an 8.0-liter unit producing 90 to 100 horsepower. Some versions were also fitted with Perkins 5.8-liter 6-cylinder engines. That power fed into a manual transmission with 6 forward and 2 reverse gears, combined with planetary final drives at the axles. Weighing roughly 5 tons, the Dutra D4K could generate a staggering maximum drawbar pull of over 35,000 pounds, around 16 tons. But what truly made the D4K bizarre was how it moved. Instead of steering with front wheels, the tractor used a central articulated joint, allowing the entire machine to bend in the middle. For a tractor this heavy, the resulting turning radius was shockingly tight. Visually, it was just as strange. A long, oversized nose, a high rear-mounted cab, and a stretch profile gave the D4K an almost unbalanced appearance. Yet that shape helped distribute weight perfectly for traction. In Eastern Europe, the Dutra D4K became legendary. Not elegant, not refined, just brutally effective. A tractor built to outpull, outlast, and outturn machines that looked far more normal. Number 43. Bohlen's Hus-Ski Snow. Built in the 1960s, the Bohlen's Hus-Ski wasn't a tractor, and it wasn't a snowmobile either. It was something far stranger. Originally developed in Canada by Hus-Ski Lenicorn and later acquired by Bohlen's, a division of FMC in 1965, the Hus-Ski was designed as a two-part snow machine. Instead of sitting on the engine, the rider sat behind it, on a separate sled being pulled through deep snow. Up front sat the tractor unit, a compact-powered module riding on twin tracks. Power came from two-stroke engines built by West Bend or JLO, producing between 8 and 16 horsepower depending on the model. Drive was handled through a centrifugal clutch, keeping the system simple and reliable in extreme cold. Behind it followed the ski-seater sled, fitted with a bench seat and wood or aluminum skis. Steering was done via a long handlebar linkage, connecting the sled to the front tractor, creating a driving experience unlike anything else. You weren't riding the machine, you were being towed by it. What made the Hus-Ski truly bizarre was its layout. A front-drive track tractor pulling its own passenger trailer, a work machine built for loggers in Quebec, not speed or recreation, and a ride so smooth that bumps were absorbed by the sled, not the engine. It didn't race, it didn't jump. It worked, dragging people and cargo through snow where wheels failed. Half tractor, half sled, all strange. And that's why the Bohlen's Hus-Ski Snow earns its place as the most bizarre tractor you've probably never seen. Number 42. Schluter S350. At first glance, the Schluter S350 looks almost modest. Its mechanical power output is relatively low, with a curb weight ranging from 1,840 to 2,000 kilograms, an overall length of 343 centimeters, and a height of just 154 centimeters. By vintage tractor standards, these numbers feel surprisingly tame. But with Schluter, the real shock never came from raw horsepower. It came from radical engineering ideas. The S350 was available in two-wheel drive or optional four-wheel drive, riding on 5.50 minus 16 front and 11.2 minus 28 rear tires in two-wheel drive form, or 7.50 minus 18 and 9.5 minus 32 for the four-wheel drive version. At the rear, it featured a dual-speed PTO at 540/1000 RPM, paired with a hydraulic lift capacity between 1,000 and 1,350 kilograms and classic drum brakes. On paper, it was a capable but conventional work tractor. Then comes the bizarre part, the DNA of Schluter itself. The brand became legendary for features almost unheard of in the vintage era. Most shocking was the hydraulically tilting cab, designed to fold backward and expose the engine and transmission for easy servicing. Add to that sliding cab doors, a reverse-angled windshield to reduce glare and improve visibility, and you begin to realize how far ahead of its time this machine really was. Built with premium components like ZF transmissions, famously described as built like a tank, Schluter tractors earned the nickname the Rolls-Royce of German tractors. Finished in the unmistakable silver chassis and red body panels, crowned with the iconic bear logo, the Schluter S350 proves that vintage tractors could be strange, bold, and brilliantly unconventional. So bizarre, it's hard to believe it was ever real. Number 41. Hanomag Robust 800. The Hanomag Robust 800 may look solid, purposeful, and almost conservative, But behind that restrained exterior is a tractor that helped rewrite agricultural history. Built in Germany, the Robust 800 was powered by a 4-stroke, inline 4-cylinder diesel engine, delivering a strong 75 horsepower from an impressive 6.8-liter displacement, operating at just 1,500 revolutions per minute. At a time when gasoline and hot bulb engines still ruled the fields, this alone made the machine feel radically different. Cooling was handled by a water-cooled system paired with a manual gearbox, while stopping power came from internal drum brakes on the rear wheels. The tractor also featured live hydraulics, driven by a Bosch gear pump, and a highly precise Bosch PE4A fuel injection pump. Advanced engineering that many competitors would not adopt until years later. So why does the Robust 800 belong on a list of bizarre vintage tractors? Because Hanomag was among the world's earliest pioneers of diesel-powered tractors, committing to 4-stroke diesel technology as early as 1928, only slightly behind Lanz. This decision reshaped torque delivery, fuel efficiency, and long-term durability across agriculture. Outside Europe, the Robust 800 became something of an enigma. Its blue body with red grille accents, unfamiliar badge, and sheer mechanical presence made it a rare and fascinating sight in places like North America. Combined with Hanomag's reputation for tank-like construction and its parallel history producing German military vehicles during World War II, this tractor carries an unusual and powerful legacy. The Hanomag Robust 800 isn't bizarre because of how it looks. It's bizarre because it helped define the diesel future of farming, while remaining almost unknown to the rest of the world. Number 40. International Cub Cadet Lo-Boy 154. The International Cub Cadet Lo-Boy 154 occupies one of the strangest niches in tractor history. Built by International Harvester from 1968 to 1974, it wasn't designed for plowing fields or pulling heavy farm equipment. Instead, it was purpose-built for large lawns, estates, parks, and golf courses, making it feel like a tractor that deliberately refused to be a farm tractor. Power came from a water-cooled, 4-cylinder gasoline engine producing just 15 horsepower, with around 14 horsepower at the PTO. Displacement measured 59.5 cubic inches, 1.0 liter, paired with a simple 3-speed manual transmission and a lightweight build of only 1,480 pounds, 671 kilograms. These modest numbers were intentional, prioritizing control and stability over brute force. The signature feature was the Lo-Boy low-profile design. By rotating the rear final drives 90 degrees and using a shorter front axle than the Farmel Cub, International Harvester dramatically lowered the center of gravity. This made the 154 unusually stable on slopes, ideal for mowing steep terrain where conventional tractors felt unsafe. Its most bizarre detail was the non-standard PTO. The Lo-Boy 154 used a live PTO that rotated in the opposite direction, with a unique shaft diameter and spline count, meaning it could only operate IH-specific attachments. Standard PTO implements were completely incompatible, locking the machine into a narrow roll. Built on a channel steel frame with live hydraulics, the 154 Lo-Boy was lighter, more maneuverable, but severely limited for real farm work. Too specialized to be a true tractor, yet far more complex than a mower, the International Cub Cadet Lo-Boy 154 stands as one of the most bizarre vintage machines ever to wear a tractor badge. Number 39. John Deere WA14/W A17. The John Deere WA14 and WA17 look like classic, big articulated four-wheel drive tractors, but their story is one of the strangest chapters in John Deere history. Built between 1968 and 1970, these machines carried the famous green and yellow paint, yet John Deere never actually built them. Both tractors were powered by massive Cummins inline 6-cylinder engines with a huge 14.0-liter, 855 cubic inches. Displacement. The WA14 used a naturally aspirated version, rated at 225 horsepower, while the WA17 stepped into another league with a turbocharged Cummins producing 280 horsepower. Power was sent through a Fuller Road Ranger RTO 910 transmission with 10 forward and 2 reverse gears, mounted in a fully articulated four-wheel drive chassis designed for serious heavy tillage. These were enormous machines. The WA14 weighed about 26,520 pounds, 12,029 kilograms, while the WA17 tipped the scales at 28,280 pounds, 12,827 kilograms, before adding ballast. Even more unusual for farm equipment of the era, air brakes were fitted on all wheels, a feature borrowed straight from heavy highway trucks. So what makes them truly bizarre? The WA14 and WA17 were rebadged Wagner tractors built by FWD Wagner in Oregon and sold by John Deere as a temporary solution after Deere's own 80204 wheel drive project failed. The partnership lasted only a short time, and production numbers were shockingly low. Just 23 WA14 and 28 WA17 ever built. Truck engines, truck transmissions, truck-style brakes, and a John Deere badge. These tractors were never meant to last, and that's exactly why today they're among the rarest, strangest, and most unbelievable John Deere machines ever to exist. Number 38. Farmall M High Crop. The Farmall M High Crop looks like a normal Farmall M that was somehow lifted skyward. Officially known as the Farmall MV or HV in its wide front form, this was not a styling experiment. It was a tractor engineered to operate above tall crops without destroying them. And that single purpose is what makes it one of the most bizarre vintage tractors ever built. Under the hood, the High Crop used the same powertrain as the standard Farmall M. Buyers could choose a 4-cylinder inline gasoline or diesel MD engine, displacing 4.1 liters, 248 cubic inches, and producing around 36 horsepower at the drawbar. Power went through a 5-speed manual transmission with 1 reverse, driving the rear wheels in a conventional 2-wheel drive layout. A standard 540 RPM PTO remained in place, keeping it mechanically familiar, at least on paper. Everything strange happened below the engine. To achieve its extreme clearance, International Harvester engineered drop-drive rear axle housings, using reduction gears to raise the tractor's main body several inches higher off the ground. The front axle was also redesigned with a tall, arched structure and larger front wheels, pushing the nose upward to match the rear. The result was a tractor with dramatically increased ground clearance, capable of passing over cotton, sugarcane, and vegetable crops late in the growing season. But visually it looked tall, narrow, and slightly unbalanced, nothing like a typical row crop tractor. Because it served such a highly specialized role, production numbers were low compared to the standard Farmall M. Today, the high crop version stands as a rare reminder of a time when tractor manufacturers were willing to build machines that looked almost unreal, simply to solve one very specific problem in the field. Number 37. Fortschritt RD09. The Fortschritt RD09 is one of those machines that makes you stop and ask, is this really a tractor? Built in East Germany by VEB Traktorenwerk Schönebeck, the RD09 was part of an advanced line of Geräteträger, or implement carriers, machines designed around a completely different farming philosophy. At its heart was a compact air-cooled, 2-cylinder diesel engine producing just 18 to 20 horsepower. That may sound underwhelming, but the RD09 paired it with standard 4-wheel drive, a working weight of around 1.6 tons, and a top speed close to 20 kilometers per hour. This wasn't about speed or brute force, it was about precision and efficiency. The real shock comes from its layout. Instead of the usual engine front, implement rear design, the RD09 placed the engine and cab fully at the front. The center of the machine was left wide open, specifically engineered to mount cultivators, seed drills, sprayers, and other specialized equipment inside the wheelbase. The operator sat directly over the working tools, gaining unmatched visibility and control. Its highly modular chassis allowed rapid reconfiguration for different tasks across the season, reducing the need for multiple specialized machines. Balanced weight distribution and 4x4 traction made it surprisingly capable despite its low power rating. Outside the Eastern Bloc, the RD09 was almost unseen. Used mainly on collective farms in East Germany and other socialist states, it rarely reached Western Europe and virtually never North America. With its industrial shape, oversized wheels, empty midsection, and unmistakable green paint, the RD09 looked more like a rolling platform than a traditional tractor. Unfamiliar, unconventional. The Fortschritt RD09 proves that some of the most bizarre vintage tractors were born from rethinking farming itself. Number 36. Ford 8N Funk Aircraft Conversion. The Ford 8N is remembered as a simple, reliable 20-horsepower tractor, but the Funk aircraft conversion turned it into something nobody in the 1940s could believe was real. This bizarre machine combined the compact Ford 8N chassis with massive automotive and industrial engines, transforming a modest farm tractor into a near 100-horsepower monster. Instead of the original inline-4 engine, Funk conversions commonly used Ford flathead V8 engines or powerful inline-6 engines, with displacements around 215 to 226 cubic inches. In its most extreme form, the 6-cylinder OHV version output approached 100 horsepower, more than triple the stock 8N's 23 to 30 horsepower. Power was often paired with a Sherman auxiliary transmission, giving up to 12 forward gears, while overall weight increased well beyond the standard 2,410 pounds due to reinforced frames and the heavier engine. What made this tractor truly bizarre was the contrast. A small, lightweight tractor suddenly had enough power to pull 3 plow bottoms instead of 2, letting farmers do 3 days of work in 2. But that power came with a strange, new look. The long, tall engines required extended frame rails and a dramatically raised, stretched hood, giving the Funk 8N its unmistakable long nose, unbalanced appearance. Even stranger was its origin. The conversion was designed by Funk Aircraft Company, an airplane manufacturer, applying aviation-level machining to farm equipment, while retaining Ford's advanced Ferguson 3-point hitch. Early on, Ford even sued Funk, blaming the extreme power for transmission failures, only to discover the real issue was improperly heat-treated gears. Only a few thousand Funk conversions were ever built, making them incredibly rare today. Among collectors, the Ford 8N Funk isn't just unusual, it's proof that one of the strangest tractors ever made came from thinking far beyond the farm. Number 35. Lombard Steam Log Hauler. The Lombard Steam Log Hauler doesn't just look bizarre. It rewrote the future of heavy machinery. Patented in 1901 by Alvin O. Lombard and hand-built in Waterville, Maine, this enormous steam-powered machine was a terrifying hybrid of a steam locomotive and a bulldozer, decades before either truly existed in their modern forms. What makes it unbelievable is that the Lombard became the first commercially successful vehicle to use continuous tracks, a breakthrough that would later define tanks, crawler tractors, and construction machines worldwide. At its heart was a 2-cylinder steam engine, producing around 90 horsepower at 175 pounds per square inch, a staggering figure for the early 1900s. The machine weighed 19 to 20 tons, stretched nearly 30 feet long, and moved at a slow but relentless 4.5 to 5 miles per hour. Fueled by wood or coal, it wasn't built for speed. It was built for brute force. On frozen logging roads, a single Lombard could drag up to 300 tons of timber, pulling sled trains that could reach an almost unbelievable 1,650 feet in length. Its design was as strange as it was revolutionary. The rear rode on chain-driven continuous tracks, while the front steered using skis or wheels, giving it the appearance of a locomotive sliding through the forest. Even more shocking, early versions had no dedicated braking system. Controlling downhill speed relied on steam back pressure or the sheer friction of the loaded sleds behind it, making every descent a calculated risk. Operating a Lombard required 4 men, an engineer, a fireman, a front steersman, and another operator riding the sleds. It wasn't a farm tractor, and it wasn't versatile. It existed solely for one brutal winter task. But in doing so, it became one of the most important and bizarre tractors ever built, proving that some of the strangest machines are the ones that change the world forever. Number 34. Field Marshal. Built by Marshall, Sons & Coers in Gainsborough, Lincolnshire from 1945 to 1957, the Field Marshal is one of the most unconventional tractors ever produced in Britain. It became famous not for comfort or refinement, but for extreme simplicity and brute mechanical logic. The Field Marshal was powered by a single-cylinder, two-stroke diesel engine with an enormous displacement of nearly 6 liters, featuring a massive 6.5-inch bore and 9-inch stroke. This slow-revving engine produced around 40 horsepower on Series 1, 2, and the third models while turning at a maximum of just 750 RPM. Power was delivered through a rugged mechanical transmission, offering up to 6 forward gears and 2 reverse gears on later Series 3 tractors. A large external flywheel mounted on one side helped smooth power delivery from the huge single piston. What truly made the Field Marshal bizarre was its starting method. There was no electric starter or hand crank. Operators first preheated the cylinder, then inserted a 12-gauge blank shotgun cartridge into a special firing chamber and struck it with a hammer. The controlled explosion forced the piston into motion and started the engine. The massive single cylinder caused intense vibration, especially at idle, so strong that stories claim the tractor could shake itself downward on soft ground. Its two-stroke crankcase compression design and total loss lubrication system, which sometimes required burning oil residue out of the exhaust, made the Field Marshal feel more like industrial machinery than a farm tractor. Rough, loud, and brutally effective, the Field Marshal remains a mechanical icon of post-war British engineering. Number 33. Roadless Plowmaster 65. At a time when most tractors relied on rear-wheel drive alone, Britain introduced something far ahead of its era. The Roadless Plowmaster 65, engineered by Roadless Traction Limited, was a heavily modified version of the Ford 5000, transformed from a standard two-wheel drive tractor into a serious four-wheel drive work machine. Power came from the original Ford four-cylinder diesel engine, producing around 65 horsepower. While that figure sounded modest, the way it was used made all the difference. The Plowmaster 65 featured Roadless' signature four-wheel drive system, giving it dramatically improved traction and pulling ability. Fully equipped, the tractor weighed approximately 7,800 pounds, providing the mass needed for heavy draft work. Its most distinctive feature was the heavy-duty front axle, designed and built by Roadless. This axle used epicyclic reduction gears at the wheel hubs, multiplying torque directly at the wheels, reducing drivetrain stress, and allowing the tractor to maintain grip in soft or muddy conditions. The oversized axle also gave the Plowmaster 65 a bold, muscular appearance that clearly separated it from standard Ford tractors. What made this machine truly unusual was how it was built. Roadless was not a mass producer, but a specialist modifier. Each Plowmaster 65 began life as a normal Ford 5000 before being custom converted, turning an ordinary tractor into a traction-focused powerhouse. In heavy plowing, its performance far exceeded that of the original two-wheel drive Ford, proving that advanced four-wheel drive engineering could completely redefine what a 65-horsepower tractor was capable of. Number 32. Zetor Crystal 8011. At first glance, the Zetor Crystal 8011 feels out of place on a list of bizarre British tractors, and that's exactly what makes it strange. This machine wasn't built in Britain at all. It was produced in Czechoslovakia by Zetor beginning in 1969, and yet it made a deep impact across British and European farms for one unexpected reason. It challenged what a tractor was supposed to be. Under the hood, the Crystal 8011 used a four-cylinder, four-stroke diesel engine, liquid-cooled, with a displacement of 3,982 cubic centimeters, producing around 80 horsepower. Power was sent through a highly flexible transmission offering up to 16 forward and 8 reverse gears, allowing precise speed control for heavy field work. Unlike many tractors of similar power, The Crystal 8011 remained two-wheel drive, driving only the rear wheels, and weighed roughly 4,600 kilograms, giving it a solid planted feel in the field. What truly made the Crystal bizarre by British standards wasn't brute force, but philosophy. At a time when many tractors still treated operator comfort as an afterthought, Zetor introduced a fully enclosed safety cab with integrated ROPS as standard equipment. This wasn't optional. It was built into the tractor's identity. Some versions even featured front axle suspension, something almost unheard of on farm tractors of that era. To British farmers used to loud, exposed, mechanically raw machines, the Crystal felt alien, quiet, protective, almost automotive. It wasn't strange because it failed. It was strange because it was too advanced, redefining safety, comfort, and durability years before those ideas became normal. The Zetor Crystal 8011 didn't follow British tractor tradition. It quietly rewrote it. Number 31. David Brown 50D. In the mid-1950s, British tractors were expected to be simple, economical, and modest in power. Then David Brown did something completely unexpected. They built the 50D, a tractor that wasn't bizarre because it was strange, but because it was far more powerful and advanced than anyone thought necessary at the time. At the heart of the David Brown 50D was a serious engine, a liquid-cooled, inline, six-cylinder diesel with a massive displacement of 380 cubic inches, about 6.2 liters. While many competitors were still relying on four-cylinder, or even smaller engines, the 50D delivered around 50 horsepower at the PTO, making it one of the most powerful British utility tractors of its era. Power was sent through a two-wheel drive drivetrain and a six-forward, two-reverse gearbox, optimized for heavy draft work rather than speed. Weighing roughly 5,400 pounds, 2,450 kilograms, the 50D had the mass and strength to handle serious plowing and multi-furrow implements with ease. But its most advanced feature wasn't brute force, it was control. The tractor featured live hydraulics, meaning the hydraulic system continued to operate independently of the main clutch. This allowed operators to raise and lower implements smoothly even when stopping or changing gears, a major advantage over many rivals. What made the David Brown 50D feel almost bizarre by British standards was its ambition. It was built with export markets like North America and Canada in mind, where larger fields demanded stronger, faster working machines. That philosophy made it feel oversized and over-engineered compared to typical British farm tractors. The 50D wasn't strange because it failed expectations. It was strange because it exceeded them, proving that British engineering could compete at the highest level of power, reliability, and performance. Number 4. Marshall 802. By the late 1970s, British tractor engineering was at a crossroads. Farmers wanted more comfort, more power, and more reliability, yet still expected mechanical simplicity. That's where the Marshall 802 quietly changed expectations. Built by Marshall Tractors, the successor to Marshall, Sons & Company, and Leyland Tractors, the 802 represented Britain's push into a more modern tractor era. The Marshall 802 was part of the 80 series, produced in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Under the hood sat a Leyland Shure Marshall four-cylinder, liquid-cooled diesel engine, displacing roughly 4.6 liters. It produced around 80 horsepower, placing it firmly in the upper mid-power category for British-built tractors of the time. Power was delivered through a mechanical transmission with 10 forward and 2 reverse gears, driving the rear wheels in a traditional 2WD layout. On paper, nothing about the Marshall 802 seemed bizarre, and that's exactly why it stood out. While earlier British tractors were often loud, exposed, and physically demanding to operate, the 802 arrived with a well-designed cab, strong ventilation, excellent visibility, and a powerful hydraulic system capable of handling modern implements. It felt refined, almost foreign, compared to the rough machines many British farmers were used to. The strangeness of the Marshall 802 wasn't mechanical shock value, but timing. It represented a clean break from Britain's agricultural past, embracing comfort, ergonomics, and international competition head-on. In a lineup filled with oddball engineering experiments, the Marshall 802 was unusual for a different reason. It proved that British tractors could be modern, comfortable, and competitive without gimmicks. Sometimes the most unexpected tractor is the one that looks completely normal, until you realize how much it changed. Number 29. Nuffield 4/60 Universal 4. In the mid-1960s, British farms were still dominated by simple, rugged machines, but one tractor quietly pushed technology forward without looking strange at all. Built between 1964 and 1967, the Nuffield 460 was produced under the Nuffield brand of the British Motor Corporation, BMC, later part of British Leyland. At first glance, it looked like a conventional British tractor. Underneath, it was far more advanced than many realized. Power came from a BMC 4-cylinder, liquid-cooled diesel engine, displacing 3.8 liters, producing around 60 horsepower. Strong output for its class during that era. The tractor used a mechanical transmission with 10 forward and 2 reverse gears, although some versions were fitted with a simpler 5-forward layout. Drive was classic 2-wheel drive, sending power to the rear wheels. What made the Nuffield 460 stand out was not radical design, but quietly groundbreaking features. One of its most important innovations was the use of wet disc brakes, far more durable and consistent than the dry drum brakes common in the 1960s. This gave the 460 safer stopping power and significantly reduced maintenance over long working hours. The tractor also featured an independent PTO and live hydraulics, allowing rear implements to keep running even when the tractor stopped moving, an enormous productivity advantage at the time. Combined with its simple mechanical layout, the 460 was easy to maintain, easy to repair, and exceptionally reliable in hard field conditions. The bizarre part of the Nuffield 460 is how normal it looked while hiding technology that was ahead of its era. It didn't shout innovation, it delivered it quietly. And that subtle leap forward is exactly what makes this British tractor unforgettable. Number 28. David Brown 2D. Among all British tractors ever built, few look or operate like the David Brown 2D. Produced between 1955 and 1964, this small utility tractor wasn't just different by accident. It was a deliberate attempt to completely rethink how a tractor should be built, controlled, and used on small farms. At its heart was a David Brown 2-cylinder, liquid-cooled diesel engine, displacing just 90 cubic inches and producing around 14 horsepower at 2,000 RPM. Power was sent through a 6-speed forward, 2-speed reverse gearbox, driving the rear wheels in a 2-wheel drive layout. On paper, the numbers were modest, but the design was anything but ordinary. The most shocking feature was its open frame construction. Unlike conventional tractors with a full chassis and enclosed hood, the 2D used a minimal A or V-shaped steel frame, with the engine and transmission fully exposed. This wasn't done for style. It allowed implements to be mounted unusually close to, or even within, the tractor's structure, giving the operator unmatched control and visibility. Even stranger was its automatic implement control system. Instead of relying solely on standard hydraulics, the 2D used a proprietary mechanical or semi-automatic linkage system that reacted to ground conditions, adjusting the implement with minimal driver input. For the 1950s, this bordered on experimental engineering. Its extremely compact size made the 2D feel more like a mechanized tool carrier than a traditional tractor. Combined with the open layout, the operator enjoyed exceptional forward and downward visibility, something almost unheard of at the time. The David Brown 2D wasn't built to follow tradition, it was built to challenge it. And that bold, unconventional thinking is exactly why it earns its place among the most bizarre British tractors ever made. Number 27. DOE Triple D. At the very top of Britain's most bizarre tractors sits a machine that barely qualifies as a single tractor at all. The DOE Triple D, short for Double D, was not designed in a corporate engineering office, but born out of pure necessity and radical thinking in rural England during the early 1960s. Developed by George Pryor, a farmer from Essex, and produced by Ernest Doe & Sons Limited, The Triple D was created by joining two Fordson supermajor tractors together. Each unit kept its own 4-cylinder diesel engine, resulting in a combined 8-cylinder setup producing an astonishing 100 to 120 horsepower, depending on the donor tractors used. At a time when most British tractors struggled to reach half that output, this was unheard of. Power flowed through two Fordson gearboxes, mechanically linked, driving all four wheels in what became one of Britain's first true four-wheel drive agricultural tractors. The two tractor halves were connected by a central articulation joint, allowing the entire machine to bend in the middle to steer, more like an articulated industrial machine than a farm tractor. Early versions used a complex mechanical cable system to control steering through the joint, a crude yet ingenious solution later refined into hydraulic control. The driver sat in the front unit, commanding a machine that looked and felt like two tractors working as one. Visually, the DOE Triple D was impossible to ignore. Twin hoods, twin engines, massive bulk, and a stretched, aggressive stance made it look more like a homemade monster than a production machine. Yet it worked, delivering unmatched traction and pulling power years before major manufacturers offered high-horsepower four-wheel drive tractors. The DOE Triple D wasn't elegant, it wasn't conventional, but it changed British farming forever, earning its place as the most bizarre, bold, and unforgettable tractor Britain ever produced. Number 26. Allis-Chalmers 220 Turbo. Introduced in the early 1970s, the Allis-Chalmers 220 Turbo, officially known as the 220 Landhandler, was anything but a normal farm tractor. Built to replace the legendary D21, it quickly became one of the most extreme and unusual turbo diesel machines of its era. Power came from the massive Allis-Chalmers AC3 5006-cylinder liquid-cooled diesel, displacing 7.0 liters, 426 cubic inches. Its biggest shock factor was the turbocharger, still rare in agriculture at the time. This setup delivered around 135.95 PTO horsepower, 117.2 drawbar horsepower, and up to 141 horsepower at peak, placing it among the strongest tractors of the 1970s. That power was sent through the power director transmission with 8 forward and 2 reverse gears, allowing smooth shifting under heavy load. The tractor rode on a 254-centimeter wheelbase, weighed about 5.5 tons, and could exceed 9 tons when fully ballasted, giving it enormous traction and presence in the field. What made the 220 Turbo truly bizarre was its construction. The Landhandler name reflected its brutally reinforced drivetrain, including a rear axle up to 3.6 inches thick. Built to survive punishment most tractors couldn't, its blocky, muscular design looked more industrial than agricultural. Even stranger was the ultra-rare front-wheel assist version, with only around 100 units ever produced. And when the 426th engine spooled up, the sharp turbo whistle made it sound more like a diesel performance machine than a farm tractor. Number 25. County 1124 Super 6. The County 1124 Super 6 is one of the most unusual tractors ever produced in Britain. Built by County Commercial Cars, a specialist known for heavily modifying Ford tractors, the 1124 was based on the Ford 5000 chassis, but engineered for extreme terrain. It was powered by the Ford Dorset inline-6 diesel, the 2704E or 2714E, displacing 5.9 liters, 363 cubic inches, and producing about 112 to 113 gross flywheel horsepower. While the standard engine was naturally aspirated, turbocharged Dorset variants used in industrial applications reached up to 140 horsepower, and some 1,124 units are believed to have used turbo-assisted setups. The most radical feature was its full-time 4x4 system with 4 equal-size wheels, typically 16.9 to 30 tires on all corners, paired with a Ford-based transmission offering 8 forward and 2 reverse gears. Total weight was approximately 4,570 kilograms, 10,077 pounds. This equal-wheel design delivered exceptional off-road performance, traction, and stability on mud, hills, forestry, and construction sites. To install the longer 6-cylinder engine into a chassis originally designed for 4 cylinders, County engineered a special subframe to support the front axle, since the Dorset engine was not a stressed structural member. Produced in very limited numbers between 1967 and 1971, the County 1124 Super 6 remains a rare and almost unbelievable machine, instantly recognizable by its unconventional layout and extreme off-road capability. Number 24, Steiger Super Wildcat. The Steiger Super Wildcat was one of the most extreme tractors of the late 1960s, born during the so-called horsepower crisis, when farmers needed power the market couldn't yet provide. Part of Steiger's Series 1, it was built in Fargo, North Dakota, and immediately stood apart from anything else in agriculture. Power came from an industrial Caterpillar 3150 V8 diesel, liquid-cooled and displacing 9.4 liters, 573 cubic inches. Equipped with a turbocharger, it produced around 200 horsepower, an astonishing figure for its time. Power was handled by heavy-duty 10 forward, 2 reverse transmissions, typically from Fuller or Spicer. The Super Wildcat used an articulated four-wheel drive layout with dual wheels on all 4 corners as standard, delivering massive traction and a surprisingly tight turning radius. Operating weight was approximately 9,979 kilograms, 22,000 pounds, with an overall length of about 5.8 meters, 19 feet, and a width of 2.4 meters, 8 feet. What made it truly bizarre was its origin. Early Steiger tractors were hand-built on a dairy farm by Douglas and Maury Steiger, using heavy industrial components rather than agricultural parts. Engines came from Caterpillar, while axles and drivetrains were sourced from companies like Dana, Clark, and Spicer, creating machines that were brutally durable but wildly unconventional. Even its name, part of Steiger's famous Big Cat lineup, Wildcat, Cougar, Panther, Tiger, reinforced the image of a raw, turbocharged diesel beast that looked almost impossible to believe was ever real. Number 23, Ford 9000 Turbo. The Ford 9000 Turbo marked the exact moment Ford shocked the agricultural world. Until the late 1960s, Ford was known mainly for mid-sized tractors. Then, almost overnight, they unleashed a true heavyweight machine. Big, aggressive, and factory-designed with turbocharging, something almost unheard of at the time. At its core was a Ford 6-cylinder inline diesel engine, displacing 6.6 liters, 401 cubic inches, and equipped with a factory turbocharger. This made the Ford 9000 the first Ford tractor engineered from the start as a turbo diesel. Output reached around 131 horsepower at the PTO and 110 to 115 horsepower at the drawbar, giving it the muscle to pull implements far beyond anything Ford had previously built. Power was delivered through the advanced dual-power transmission with 16 forward and 4 reverse gears, allowing on-the-go shifting under load without disengaging the clutch, an enormous advantage in heavy fieldwork. Operating weight started at approximately 5.4 tons, but with full ballast, it could approach 8 tons. The hydraulic system was also significantly upgraded, featuring a higher capacity pump to handle massive tillage equipment. What truly makes the Ford 9000 bizarre is not just the numbers, but the experience. The piercing turbo whistle, thick black smoke under load, and its unusually long, stretched nose, designed to house the large cooling system and turbocharged 6-cylinder engine, gave it an unbalanced yet intimidating presence. Even more unbelievable, many Ford 9000s are still working more than 50 years later. The legendary 401 turbo engine is so durable that tractor-pulling builders routinely push it to 500 to 800 horsepower without catastrophic failure. A turbo diesel icon that sounds unreal, but absolutely was. Number 22, John Deere 4520 Turbo. The John Deere 4520 Turbo represents one of the boldest and riskiest steps in the company's history. Built for only a short time between 1969 and 1970, it was John Deere's first tractor ever equipped with a factory-installed turbocharged engine, instantly pushing the brand into unfamiliar territory. Under the hood sat a 6-cylinder inline John Deere diesel, liquid-cooled and displacing 6.6 liters, 404 cubic inches. With its factory turbocharger, the 4520 produced roughly 123 horsepower at the PTO and about 111 horsepower at the drawbar, impressive numbers for a row crop tractor of its era. Buyers could choose between an 8-forward, 2-reverse synchro-range transmission or the advanced power shift gearbox with hydraulically controlled wet clutches. PTO operation was limited to 1,000 RPM only, reducing compatibility with older implements. Operating weight came in at approximately 3,855 kilograms, making it a surprisingly heavy machine for its power class. As John Deere's first factory turbo tractor, early engines suffered from cooling and air filtration problems, leading to overheating and premature failures. The situation became so serious that John Deere launched an expensive engine replacement program, swapping many 4520 engines for the improved units used in the later 4620. As a result, fully original 4,520 turbos are now exceptionally rare. Despite its power, many farmers felt the tractor was overweight for its factory output, limiting efficiency unless modified. Produced for just 2 years before being replaced by the 4620, the John Deere 4520 Turbo stands today as a short-lived experiment, ambitious, flawed, and unforgettable. A turbo diesel John Deere that even the company itself had to rethink. Number 21. Oliver 1950T. The Oliver 1950T stands as one of the most aggressive machines of Oliver's legendary checkered flag era. Built between 1967 and 1969, it was a tractor that looked heavy, sounded violent, and delivered performance that few competitors believed was possible from its size. The letter T wasn't marketing hype, it meant turbo, and Oliver made sure everyone heard it. At its core was a Waukesha 6-cylinder inline diesel, displacing just 5.1 liters, 310 cubic inches, and liquid-cooled. Turbocharging pushed output to around 105 horsepower at the PTO and roughly 90 to 95 horsepower at the drawbar. Remarkable numbers for such a relatively small engine at the time. Power was delivered through the advanced over-under hydroshift transmission, offering 18 forward and 6 reverse speeds, allowing on-the-fly ratio changes under full load. Technology that felt decades ahead of its era. Buyers could choose 2WD or a rare 4WD version using an LB front axle. What truly set the 1950T apart was how it achieved its power. While rivals relied on massive displacement, Oliver extracted extreme output from a compact engine, creating an astonishing power-to-displacement ratio. The result was a tractor infamous for its piercing turbo whistle, often compared to a jet engine ripping across open fields. Visually, its industrial green body, silver-white grille, heavy frame, and massive rear duals made it look far larger than its 105 horsepower rating suggested. Fast, loud, and unapologetically overbuilt, the Oliver 1950T wasn't just powerful, it was shocking. A turbo diesel tractor that sounded, looked, and behaved like nothing else in the late 1960s. Number 20. International Harvester 1206 Turbo. When the International Harvester 1206 Turbo appeared in 1965, it didn't just introduce a new model, it rewrote the rules of agricultural power. At a time when most tractors struggled to approach triple-digit horsepower, the 1206 smashed straight through that barrier and dragged the entire industry with it. Under its iconic red hood sat the IHDT 361 inline 6-cylinder diesel, displacing 5.9 liters, 361 cubic inches. A factory-installed solar turbocharger, the first ever used on an IH agricultural tractor, pushed output to around 112.6 horsepower at the PTO and roughly 105 horsepower at the drawbar. Numbers considered extreme for the mid-1960s. Power was delivered through a torque amplifier transmission with 16 forward and 8 reverse speeds, giving operators unprecedented control over heavy draft work. Built in Rock Island, Illinois, the 1206 was instantly recognizable by its Farmall red paint, white wheels, and silver grille. Turbocharging was still viewed with skepticism in farm equipment, often associated with aircraft and race engines rather than plows and tillage. Yet the 1206 proved brutally durable in real-world conditions, confidently pulling 6 and even 7 bottom plows without mercy. To transmit all that power, IH fitted the tractor with massive rear tires, often duals, creating an aggressive stance that looked almost unreal for its time. More than just machinery, the IH1206 became a muscle tractor icon. Its sharp solar turbo whistle, towering presence, and raw pulling power made it a legend, one that still feels impossible to believe was ever real. Number 19. Allis-Chalmers D19 Turbo. Before turbocharging became normal, before it was trusted, expected, or even understood, there was the Allis-Chalmers D19 Turbo. Introduced in 1961, this machine didn't follow trends, it created them. The D19 Turbo is widely recognized as the first agricultural tractor in the world to leave the factory with a turbocharger, making it the true origin of modern turbo diesel tractors. Power came from an Allis-Chalmers inline 6-cylinder diesel, displacing just 4.3 liters, 262 cubic inches. Instead of relying on sheer size, Allis-Chalmers fitted a Thompson turbocharger, an almost unheard-of decision in the early 1960s. Output reached roughly 71.5 horsepower at the PTO and 62.5 horsepower at the drawbar, impressive numbers for such a compact engine. Power was managed through the famous power director transmission, often called the Big Stick, offering 8 forward and 2 reverse speeds with high-low shifting on the move. Operating weight ranged from 3.5 to 4.2 tons, depending on ballast. While gasoline and LPG versions existed, the diesel turbo is the one that made history. What made the D19 unforgettable was how far ahead of its time it felt. In an era dominated by large naturally aspirated engines, turbocharging a smaller displacement tractor seemed almost reckless. The result was a machine that outpulled larger rivals, shocked farmers, and produced a high-pitched turbo whistle unlike anything heard in agriculture. Combined with the unique power director driving experience, the D19 felt less like a farm tool and more like an experimental prototype that somehow escaped into the fields. This wasn't just a tractor. It was the moment turbo diesel history began, and it still feels impossible that it was ever real. Number 18. Holder A12. At first glance, the Holder A12 looks more like a mechanical experiment than a real tractor. Its body is shockingly small, just 0.76 meters wide and weighing only around 680 kilograms. But don't be fooled. This strange little machine, built in Germany during the mid-20th century, became one of the most capable compact tractors Europe had ever seen. Known as the Holder Cletrac, the A12 is powered by a Sachs D600L diesel engine, a single-cylinder, 2-stroke, air-cooled unit with 604 cubic centimeters of displacement. Output is a modest 12 horsepower, yet every bit of that power is used with ruthless efficiency. No radiator, no coolant system, just a simple, rugged design made to survive long working days in harsh conditions. The real madness begins with its articulated chassis. Instead of steering with the front wheels, the entire tractor bends in the middle. This gives the A12 an absurdly tight turning radius of just 0.76 meters, allowing it to pivot almost on the spot. Add permanent 4-wheel drive, and this tiny tractor suddenly has the traction and stability to crawl through vineyards, orchards, and steep European hillsides where larger machines simply can't go. A 6-speed forward and 3-speed reverse gearbox, combined with an open center hydraulic system, allows the A12 to operate plows, harrows, cultivators, and small trailers. Despite its size, it worked like a true agricultural workhorse on post-war European farms. Small, strange, incredibly maneuverable, and borderline dangerous in the wrong hands. The Holder A12 proves that some of the most unbelievable tractors ever built weren't big at all. They were just bizarrely brilliant. Number 17. Sato Beaver S370. At first sight, the Sato Beaver S370 looks harmless. Small, narrow, and almost toy-like compared to full-size tractors. Measuring just about 2.1 meters long, 0.96 meters wide, and 1.1 meters tall, this Japanese-built machine seems completely out of place in serious agricultural work. But once it starts moving, the illusion disappears fast. Produced between 1977 and 1984, the Beaver S370 was built by Sato of Japan, a company later absorbed by Mitsubishi. Under its compact hood sits a Mitsubishi KE70 diesel engine, a liquid-cooled inline two-cylinder with 0.7 liters of displacement. Power output ranges from 13 net horsepower to 15 gross horsepower. Numbers that sound modest until you see what this tractor can actually do. Paired with a non-synchronized mechanical transmission, offering 6 forward and 2 reverse gears through high and low ranges, the S370 delivers steady, controllable torque. Available in 2WD or optional 4WD, it was capable of pulling 4-foot blades, running tillers, and handling demanding tasks that surprised even experienced operators. What truly made the Beaver S370 bizarre was its legendary durability. These tractors were overbuilt, fuel-efficient, and incredibly gentle on soil thanks to their lightweight. Qualities perfectly suited to Japan's small farms, orchards, and vineyards. Decades later, many are still working daily, long after the Sato name disappeared in 1984. Parts are scarce, the tractor is tiny, and yet it just keeps going. The Sato Beaver S370 proves that sometimes the strangest tractors aren't defined by size, but by how stubbornly reliable they are. Number 16. Power King Economy. At first glance, the Power King Economy looks like a shrunken farm tractor that somehow escaped the factory floor. It's compact, low to the ground, and unmistakably American. But hidden inside that small frame is engineering that feels wildly out of proportion to its size. Originally sold simply as the Economy, and later renamed Power King around 1977, this tractor was built by Engineered Products Company in the United States. Unlike typical garden tractors of its era, the Power King didn't rely on lightweight frames or belt-driven transmissions. Instead, it was designed as a true man-sized tractor in miniature form. Power came from gasoline engines by Briggs and Stratton or Kohler, ranging from 8 to 18 horsepower, depending on the model. Popular versions like the Power King 1614 and 1618 weighed around 438 kilograms, giving the tractor serious traction for its size. But the real shock comes from the drivetrain, a fully gear-driven transmission. No belts, no shortcuts, just solid steel gears transferring torque directly to the wheels. Most models used a Borg-Warner 3-speed gearbox, often paired with an optional auxiliary transmission, expanding the setup to 6 forward and 2 reverse gears. Available in 2WD or optional 4WD, the Power King could plow soil, push snow, and haul loads that no normal garden tractor should survive. With mechanical or electric PTO options and compatibility with mowers, tillers, snow blades, and even hydraulic attachments, this tiny tractor became legendary for one reason: it simply refused to break. Decades later, many Power Kings are still working, proving that sometimes the strangest tractors are the ones built far stronger than they ever needed to be. Number 15. Gutbrod 2600. The Gutbrod 2600 doesn't behave like a garden tractor at all. With its solid stance, heavy-duty tires, and industrial-looking frame, it feels like a full agricultural machine that has somehow been scaled down. And that contradiction is exactly what makes it bizarre. Built in Germany by Gutbrod Werke GmbH, the 2600 series, including the 2600DS and 2600DAS 4WD, blurred the line between utility tractor and automotive engineering. Instead of simple lawn tractor engines, Gutbrod equipped it with car-derived power plants. Either a water-cooled 2-cylinder diesel producing 20 horsepower, 15 kilowatts, or a 4-cylinder gasoline engine delivering up to 25 horsepower, 18 kilowatts, with a displacement of around 850 cubic centimeters. For a tractor this size, that was serious power. All of that torque was sent through a fully gear-driven mechanical transmission, offering 8 forward and 2 reverse gears, enabling a top speed of approximately 25 kilometers per hour. Steering was conventional front-wheel steering, with hydraulic assist available on the 4-wheel drive version, giving the compact tractor surprising stability and control on rough terrain. What truly separates the gut-broad 2600 from ordinary small tractors is its factory-installed hydraulic system, complete with multiple PTO outputs. This allowed it to operate sweepers, salt spreaders, agricultural implements, and other professional tools usually reserved for much larger machines. Over-engineered, car-powered, and shockingly capable, the gut-broad 2600 proves that some of the strangest tiny tractors were never meant to be cute. They were built to work far beyond what their size suggests. Number 14. Brilliant GT6 Explorer. The Brilliant GT6 Explorer isn't just a tiny tractor, it's a ghost from American tractor history. Built by Brilliant Farm Equipment Company, this machine existed for 1 year only, 1962. Then it disappeared. No follow-up models, no long production run. Just a single, short-lived experiment that would later become one of the rarest garden tractors ever made. Very little hard data survives, which only adds to its mystique. What is known is that the GT6 Explorer was powered by a single-cylinder gasoline engine, producing approximately 6 horsepower, hinted at by its name. It was designed as a garden tractor, intended to operate light-duty attachments for residential and small-scale property work. But Brilliant clearly wanted it to stand apart from the competition. The GT6 Explorer's design was unlike most garden tractors of the early 1960s. Its proportions, styling, and overall presence were distinct enough that decades later, collectors still recognize it instantly, even if they've never seen one in person. Production numbers were extremely low, and many units were likely scrapped or worn out long before anyone realized how rare they would become. Today, the Brilliant GT6 Explorer is considered a true white whale among vintage tractor collectors. Finding one complete is exceptionally difficult. Finding accurate documentation is even harder. That combination, single-year production, scarce information, and unmistakable design, is exactly what earns it a place among the most bizarre tiny tractors ever built. Sometimes what makes a tractor unbelievable isn't its power or size. It's the fact that it almost never existed at all. Number 13. Pasquale 906. The Pasquale 906 looks nothing like a traditional tractor. It's extremely compact, low-slung, and almost square in its proportions. But hidden inside that tiny frame is a drivetrain built with the seriousness of a full-size agricultural machine. Produced by Pasquale of Italy, now part of the BCS Group and manufactured in Spain, the 906 series, including variants like the 906/601, was designed for one specific mission, working where normal tractors simply can't fit. Power comes from a Lombardini LDA-80 or LDA-100 diesel engine, a single-cylinder, air-cooled unit producing around 14 horsepower, 10 kilowatts. On paper, that sounds modest. In reality, it's anything but. The secret lies in its layout. The Pasquale 906 uses permanent four-wheel drive combined with a central articulated chassis. Instead of turning the front wheels, the entire tractor bends in the middle, allowing unbelievably tight turns between vineyard rows and orchard trees. Many Pasquale designs also follow the isodiometric philosophy, using wheels of equal diameter to keep weight balanced and traction constant on steep, uneven terrain. A fully gear-driven mechanical transmission, typically offering 6 forward and 2 reverse gears, delivers torque directly to all 4 wheels. No belts, no power loss. Despite its lightweight, the 906 can pull plows, trailers loaded with fertilizer, and heavy implements through mud and rain without hesitation. Originally evolved from Pasquale's legendary 2-wheel tractors, the 906 added a seat, steering wheel, and an extra axle, transforming a walking machine into a seated professional micro-tractor. Small, aggressive, and shockingly capable, the Pasquale 906 proves that in the world of bizarre tiny tractors, flexibility can be just as powerful as size. Number 12. Wheel horse. Wheel horse doesn't look bizarre. It looks familiar, and that's what makes it dangerous. What began as a simple garden tractor in the United States quietly evolved into one of the toughest small machines ever built, strong enough to embarrass tractors many times its size. Built by Wheel Horse, later acquired by Toro, these machines followed a simple philosophy: bigger than a lawnmower, smaller than a farm tractor. Across legendary lines like the 300, 400, and 500 series, Wheel Horse tractors were fitted with engines from Kohler, K-Series and Magnum, Briggs and Stratton, and Onan, producing anywhere from 7 to 20 horsepower. On paper, those numbers seem ordinary. In real life, they were anything but. The heart of the madness was the legendary unidrive transmission. Instead of thin frames and belt-driven gearboxes, Wheel Horse used a one-piece cast iron, all-gear drivetrain with massive internal gears. Depending on the model, operators had 3 forward and 1 reverse, or 6 forward and 2 reverse gears with high and low ranges. Some models even used hydrostatic drives for smooth controlled power. Weighing between 200 and over 400 kilograms, with large agricultural-style rear tires and a low center of gravity, Wheel Horse tractors developed absurd levels of traction. They could plow hard soil, pull trucks, climb steep slopes, rip out tree stumps, and dominate small tractor pulling competitions without breaking a sweat. Add snow blowers, plows, tillers, loaders, or post hole diggers, and this garden tractor became a full agricultural machine in disguise. Durable, overbuilt, and nearly immortal, Wheel Horse proves that sometimes the most unbelievable tiny tractors are the ones that simply refuse to stop working. Number 11. Kubota B6000. The Kubota B6000 didn't just shrink a tractor, it rewrote the rules. When it appeared in the mid-1970s, this Japanese machine looked impossibly small to be taken seriously. Yet hiding inside its compact frame was something the industry had never seen before. A real agricultural tractor, scaled down without compromise. Built by Kubota Corporation, the B6000 became the foundation of the legendary B-Series. Power came from the Kubota Z500 diesel engine, a liquid-cooled inline 2-cylinder unit displacing just 479 cubic centimeters. Output was 12.5 horsepower gross, with 10 horsepower at the PTO, numbers that sounded modest until paired with diesel torque and tractor-grade hardware. Unlike garden tractors of the era, the B6000 used a fully mechanical gear transmission with 6 forward and 2 reverse gears, plus high and low ranges. 2-wheel drive was available, but the real revolution was the 4-wheel drive option, giving this tiny tractor traction normally reserved for much larger machines. Weighing roughly 470 kilograms in 4WD form and reaching a top speed of about 13.5 kilometers per hour, it could plow, till, mow, and haul with shocking confidence. What made the B6000 truly bizarre was timing. Before it, small tractors were gasoline-powered toys. Big tractors were diesel workhorses. The B6000 fused those worlds, introducing diesel power, 4-wheel drive, and true tractor durability into a subcompact size no one believed would work. Decades later, many B6000s are still running, not because they're rare, but because they were built too well to disappear. The Kubota B6000 isn't just a bizarre tiny tractor. It's the reason every subcompact tractor exists today. Number 10. Lombard Steam Log Hauler. Before the term crawler tractor even existed, America had something far more insane. In 1901, in the frozen forests of Maine, Alvin O. Lombard created the Lombard Steam Log Hauler, the first commercially successful track vehicle in history. At first glance, it doesn't look like a tractor at all. It looks like a steam locomotive that escaped the railroad and invaded the forest. Weighing between 10 and 30 tons, Lombard ran on a massive steam boiler. At the rear, it used continuous steel tracks, a radical idea for its time. At the front, there were no wheels, only steerable sled runners, designed to glide over ice and snow. Its top speed was just 4.5 miles per hour, but it could haul an unbelievable 300 tons of timber across winter logging roads. Operating one required 4 men, an engineer, a fireman, a conductor, and most dangerously, a steersman sitting fully exposed in front of the boiler, dodging trees, flying sparks, and the deadly risk of being crushed by the sled trains behind him. Only 83 units were built between 1901 and 1917, but its legacy is massive because this bizarre steam machine didn't just haul logs, it invented tracked mobility, laying the foundation for tanks, bulldozers, and every crawler tractor that followed. Not a tractor, not a train, but a mechanical monster that changed history. Number 9. Holt 75. When steam tractors were still hissing clouds of smoke, one machine quietly rewrote the rules. In 1914, Holt Manufacturing introduced the Holt 75, a crawler tractor so revolutionary it didn't just transform agriculture. It helped invent the tank. The Holt 75 abandoned steam entirely. Instead, it used a massive 22.9-liter, 4-cylinder gasoline engine, producing 75 horsepower at the belt pulley and up to 50 horsepower at the drawbar. Weighing around 11,000 kilograms, it rode on 20-inch wide steel tracks, spreading its weight to avoid sinking where wheeled tractors failed. It could reach 15 miles per hour, haul dozens of tons, and work all day without water stops or firemen. A shocking leap forward at the time. In muddy California fields, swampy forests, and soft construction sites, the Holt 75 simply kept moving, but its true legacy wasn't on the farm. During World War I, British, French, and American forces used Holt 75 tractors to tow heavy artillery across shell-torn terrain. Military engineers, including Ernest Swinton, later known as the father of the tank, studied Holt's track system and realized something terrifyingly powerful. If tracks could pull guns, they could carry armor. Nearly 18,900 units were built, but Holt 75's real impact can't be counted in numbers. It was the moment gasoline met tracks, and the world of machines, farming, and warfare was never the same again. Number 8. Best 60 track layer. By the end of World War I, track tractors were no longer experiments, but in 1919, one machine pushed the idea further than anyone else. The CL, Best 60 track layer. On paper, it looked modest. A 4-cylinder gasoline engine, overhead valve design, producing 60 horsepower at the belt and 35 horsepower at the drawbar. But everything about how that power reached the ground was radically different. Weighing around 9,300 kilograms, the Best 60 rode on a 72-inch track gauge with an oscillating track system, allowing each side to flex independently over rough terrain. Instead of bouncing and losing traction, the track stayed planted, pulling harder the worse the ground became. Its steering system was just as strange for the era. Multiple disc friction clutches mounted on anti-friction bearings allowed the tractor to turn without sacrificing pulling power, something competitors simply couldn't match. Even the engine and track components were packed with anti-friction bearings, dramatically reducing wear and making the machine legendary for durability. Originally built for farming, logging, and road construction, the Best 60 soon gained a blade, effectively creating the modern bulldozer role. When Holt and Best merged in 1925, this machine was reborn as the Caterpillar 60. Nearly 19,000 units were built. Not bizarre because it failed, but because it worked too well and quietly defined heavy machinery for the next century. Number 7. Yuba Ball Tread. In 1912, engineers at the Ball Tread Company believed friction was the real enemy. Their solution became one of the strangest crawler tractors ever built, the Yuba Ball Tread. Originally developed in Detroit and later produced by Yuba Construction Company in California from 1914, this machine replaced traditional rollers with something unheard of: steel balls. Each track rode on nearly 280 hardened steel balls, about 2.25 inches in diameter, rolling between the frame and track shoes. The goal was near frictionless movement, allowing smaller engines, smoother travel, and an astonishing 20-foot turning radius. razor sharp for a crawler. Different models use different engines, including the Wisconsin 4-cylinder in the 2035 version. Its low profile, roughly 60 inches tall, allowed it to work under orchard trees and vineyards. 2 rear tracks provided drive, while a single front steering wheel or ski-controlled direction. Low ground pressure made it ideal for muddy rice fields, orchards, and even hauling massive gold dredging equipment. But the brilliance didn't survive reality. The steel balls required constant oil lubrication. Dust mixed with oil. Oil became abrasive paste, and the balls wore rapidly, falling out of the tracks, forcing owners to hire workers to collect them. Worse, there was no true drive clutch. When hand-cranked, the tractor could lurch forward violently, forcing operators to block the tracks with wooden beams just to stay alive. Brilliant in theory, dangerous in practice. A rolling idea that proved why bizarre machines don't always last. Number 6. Cletrac Model F. In the early 1920s, crawler tractors were big, heavy, and destructive to crops. So Cletrac did something completely backwards. Introduced around 1920 by the Cleveland Tractor Company, the Cletrac Model F was one of the first crawler tractors designed specifically for row crop farming. Not plowing everything flat, it was small and affordable, aimed at the average farmer. Power came from a 149 cubic inch, 4-cylinder kerosene engine, producing about 9 horsepower at the drawbar and 16 horsepower at the belt pulley. Standing just over 4 feet tall, it could move easily between crop rows without damaging plants. The real strangeness was underneath. The Model F used an early top-drive sprocket, a layout still common on modern crawlers. Inside each track was a floating roller chain, eliminating the need for constant lubrication and reducing wear. A major advantage for farmers with limited maintenance time. Even more unusual, its track width and ride height could be adjusted, allowing it to run between rows or straddle crops like corn, something almost no crawler tractor could do at the time. And it was cheap. In 1922, a Cletrac Model F sold for about $595, marketed as the logical replacement for horses and mules. Not powerful, not massive, but bizarre in the smartest way. A crawler that learned how to farm gently. Number 5. Allis-Chalmers Model M. Sometimes what makes a machine bizarre is how perfectly balanced it is. Built from 1932 to 1942 in Springfield, Illinois, the Allis-Chalmers Model M wasn't designed to be the biggest crawler on the market. It was designed to be the right size. Power came from an Allis-Chalmers 4-cylinder gasoline engine, first 301 cubic inches, later expanded to 318 cubic inches. Output reached about 35 horsepower at the belt and 29 horsepower at the drawbar. More than enough for real work. Despite that, the tractor weighed just 6,500 pounds and measured only 57 1/4 inches wide, making it far smaller than most crawlers of its era. A 4-speed forward, 1 reverse gearbox kept things simple and durable. The Model M shared its engine with the wheeled Model U, making parts easier to find and maintenance cheaper. A smart move during the Depression years. Where it became truly strange was its flexibility. Allis-Chalmers offered multiple configurations, including the Model WM wide tread version, expanding track width from 40 to 50 inches for hillsides and forestry work. Operators could fit bulldozer blades, winches, and different track shoes depending on terrain. In a time when crawlers were oversized, expensive, and specialized, the Model M proved something radical. A compact crawler could do almost everything. Not extreme, not experimental, just bizarrely perfect. And that's why it became Allis-Chalmers' most popular crawler ever. Number 4. John Deere Lindemann BO. This crawler didn't come from one factory. It came from a collaboration that almost shouldn't have worked. Built between 1933 and 1947, the John Deere Lindemann BO was a hybrid machine. John Deere supplied the Model B chassis, engine, and transmission, without wheels. Those bare tractors were shipped to Lindemann Power Equipment in Yakima, Washington, where they were transformed into crawlers. Power came from John Deere's famous horizontal 2-cylinder gasoline-kerosene engine, producing about 11.8 drawbar horsepower and 16 horsepower at the belt. Torque was strong, speed was low, perfect for precision work. Weighing roughly 4,420 pounds, the BO featured an adjustable track width from 43 to over 60 inches, allowing it to match different orchard row spacings. Its low-profile design tucked exhausts, fuel tanks, and protruding parts downward or behind guards, letting it slip beneath fruit trees without breaking branches. Steering was handled by oil-bathed multiple-disc steering clutches, advertised as nearly burn-proof thanks to 53 hardened steel plates. Advanced technology for its time, even if early units struggled with heat. What made it truly bizarre wasn't just the design, it was the concept. A major manufacturer partnering with a small regional company. A wheeled tractor reborn as a crawler, a machine built not for fields or forests, but for orchards. Not mass-produced thinking, but hyper-specialized engineering, and one of the strangest John Deeres ever built. Number 3. Teratrac GT30. In the early 1950s, crawler tractors were built for one job only: push dirt. Then the Teratrac GT30 arrived and quietly broke that rule. Built by American Tractor Corporation, the GT30 was a compact track machine powered by a 30-horsepower Continental F140 flathead 4-cylinder gasoline engine. It used a Clark 3-speed transaxle, wet steering clutches, and differential steering. All simple, mechanical, and designed to be serviced without heavy lifting equipment. But what made it truly bizarre wasn't its size or power, it was what came standard. The Teratrac GT30 was one of the first crawler tractors ever offered with an optional factory 3-point hitch. At a time when track machines were industrial tools, this crawler could lift, carry, and operate farm implements like a wheeled tractor. It could be fitted with a bulldozer blade, PTO, belt pulley, and later even loader attachments. That idea didn't disappear. When J.I. Case acquired ATC in 1956-57, Teratrac designs directly influenced the Case Model 320, widely recognized as the first factory-built integrated loader. Small, rugged, and brutally simple. No power steering, no electronics, no plastic. The GT30 filled a strange gap between farm tractor and bulldozer. Not fast, not refined, but dangerously versatile. A crawler that didn't just push a soil, it reshaped how tracked machines would work forever. Number 2. Struck Magnatrac. For decades, crawler tractors were machines only big companies could afford. Then Struck Corporation broke that rule. Starting in 1959, the Struck Magnatrac series offered something unheard of. A crawler dozer for regular people, often sold as a mail-order DIY kit. If you couldn't afford industrial equipment, you could build your own. Magnatracs came in many versions, from compact models like the RS1000 to larger machines such as the MH4, 900 and MH8500. Engines range from small gasoline units like the Honda GX390 to 3-cylinder Kubota diesel engines in the most powerful versions. Despite their size, these machines were serious tools. Operating weight ranged from about 2,100 to over 6,600 pounds. Small enough to work in tight spaces, but heavy enough to push real material. Many models used hydrostatic drive, allowing smooth forward-reverse control and zero-turn 360-degree pivoting. Something full-size crawlers couldn't do. Versatility was the point. Magnatracs accepted 6-way dozer blades, loader buckets, forks, and rear attachments, including tillers, winches, backhoes, and even a Category 1 3-point hitch. What made them truly bizarre wasn't the technology, it was the idea. A crawler tractor you assembled in your garage, built for homeowners, farmers, and small contractors. A mini dozer that democratized track machines. Not industrial, not military, just shockingly accessible. And that's why it changed everything. Number 1. Oliver OC6. Most crawler tractors are built with a single purpose in mind. The Oliver OC6 refused to commit. Produced by Oliver Corporation from 1953 to 1965, the OC6 marked Oliver's serious move into the mid-size crawler market. And it did so in a completely different way. Instead of brute force, it offered balance. Power came from the Oliver Model 156 inline six-cylinder gasoline engine, displacing 155.6 cubic inches, with later diesel options available. Output ranged from 30 to 35 horsepower at the pulley and 25 to 30 horsepower at the drawbar. Modest on paper, but perfectly matched to its size. The standard transmission was a 3-speed forward, 1 reverse gearbox, but the real magic was the optional slow-low auxiliary transmission, doubling it to 6 forward and 2 reverse gears for precise speed control in every task. Weighing roughly 5,000 to 6,000 pounds, the OC6 sat low, stayed stable, and could be ordered with different track widths for agricultural or industrial work. Farm tillage, logging, light construction, trenching. Some versions even featured a dual control, rear-facing operator position, allowing the driver to work backhoes or rear attachments. A shockingly unconventional design for its era. What made the OC6 truly bizarre wasn't one feature. It was the philosophy. Not too big, not too small, endlessly configurable. A crawler that became a Swiss Army knife on tracks and earned its place at the top by doing everything well instead of one thing loudly. From forgotten prototypes to truly bizarre machines, these tractors proved that the past was anything but boring. Long before modern standards and mass production, innovation had no limits, and neither did imagination. If you enjoyed exploring these strange pieces of agricultural history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. More unbelievable machines are waiting just around the corner.